Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Hello, and I am Vern Gulper Bones, aka Chris. And I'm here to talk to you guys today about Star Trek Beyond. Now, Star Trek Beyond is the third Star Trek movie in the Star Trek reboot series, and I gotta say, for the most part, it was a pretty good movie. I mean, at first I was worried about the movie just because Star Trek 3 was having so many problems. It was ridiculous. Their director left, their writer left, their producer had to go make Star Wars, coincidentally. So, I mean, he did come back later to produce it, but it was just one of those things where just like this movie is just not gonna be able to meet the expectations as the first two. But it ended up doing pretty well. And one of the things that I think that probably led to that was one, they brought in Simon Pegg, who stars as Scotty in Star Trek, and he is a great writer. He adds a lot of comedy to the series, and I think that's one of the reasons they brought him in, and that's one of the things that made the movie really great. Also, the pairings that they did, great idea, because just alone when I heard that they were going to do pairings between between two different people of the same crew, like how they did Bones and Spock, and how they did Chekhov and Kirk, and how they did Uhura and Sulu, it was great. It was a great idea. I mean, I wish I had seen just a little bit more on the pairings, because I felt like it was more on Bones and Spock than it was on the other ones. Like, you could definitely see, like, the dynamic change from how Spock and Bones viewed each other at the beginning of the movie to how they see each other as towards the end of the movie. Because they are friends, after all, but I mean, and you know that, what they had mentioned before is that Kirk and that Spock relationship had always been sort of there and everything, so I guess to bring in Bones and Spock and put him in a completely different environment that they had no idea what they were going to do, it was definitely a good idea, because it expanded on their characters and it made them more of the crew members that they really are meant to be, and it really expanded. There's also a lot of nostalgia in this movie. Obviously, two people died during the production of this movie, and actually one during the post-production, actually, I'm sorry. Leonard Nimoy died, who plays the original Spock, and they kind of do a homage to him. One, they kill off his character in the universe because he's known as Ambassador Spock, and the other one is Anton Yelchin, who played Chekhov in the new Star Trek, who died in a car accident, I want to say like a month or two before the movie actually released, and that was very sad. But they're not recasting him, thank God, and they paid homage to him just by saying, you know, in loving memory of him. And he was a tremendous actor, and it's sad to see one of those people of the crew die and everything. But it does pay respect to Star Trek and the essence that it is its 50th anniversary, and they wanted to make this one really special because it is a sort of, it felt like a different movie, because you're going from sort of a familiar environment of Earth and then taking it to a completely different environment. And I think that's one of the things that it got right, because it sort of felt like you were in, like, even an episode of an old Star Trek movie. I mean, even the setting in itself, it was just like, okay, we gotta go from here, and then we gotta come back, meet in the middle, and get our ship back together, get our crew, and then fly out of here, go beyond, in a sense. But, I mean, it was interesting how they did it like that. Now, as far as the villain goes, Krall, which was his name, he was an interesting guy. Idris Elba is an amazing actor, no doubt about it. But I've just felt sometimes I was kind of wanting to see what his character was actually motivated by during the story, Because at one point or another, you just realize, okay, this guy's obviously, he means business. I mean, he literally comes out of nowhere with like his little tiny ships and everything, and basically destroys the Enterprise, and it's ridiculous. I mean, that Enterprise is like from up here, and then within like about 10 minutes, it just falls down. I mean, it makes what Khan did to it like nothing. I mean, they literally tore through that ship like it was tissue paper. But I kind of found it a little bit hard at sometimes to sort of see where he was going with his plan. Like, he needed motivation. They did eventually give him some sort of motivation, just like, oh yeah, well, he's an old Federation captain, and he was betrayed by the Federation, and now that gives him motive to want to destroy them, which makes sense. But I felt like they kind of included that a little bit too late. It's like I would have liked to have known that maybe before and then build up to that. But he did good. It was a little hard to understand him sometimes because he talks in that English voice and is just like, unity is not your strength, Captain. And, you know, he goes on about that. Just like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, pretty much it is. So, essentially, that's pretty much Star Trek Beyond. I mean, it's probably still not my favorite in the reboot series, but it's still a great movie, a great time to have with friends. It's definitely worth watching. And if you're a Star Trek fan, I would definitely recommend going and seeing this. I mean, it's a outstanding movie overall. But now I want to know what you guys think. Definitely leave me a comment below. Talk about how much you liked this review of Star Trek Beyond. I'm planning on doing a review for Batman vs Superman, the Ultimate Edition soon, and then of course Batman: The Killing Joke when that comes out. And not to mention Suicide Squad, because come on, Suicide Squad. Hopefully DC has a winner. I'm really crossing my fingers for Suicide Squad. I mean, it could go both ways. I mean, it could be a good movie, it could be a bad movie. What I like that they're doing is that they're showing not as much trailers and clips on it. So I mean, every trailer that I've seen has pretty much been about the same thing, and you know, it's sort of, we're not really sure what their whole mission is and everything, and I think that's good. They want to preserve that for the viewing public and everything. So I'm hoping that ends up good. But definitely catch my review for Star Trek Beyond, obviously, and catch my review for Batman vs Superman, The Killing Joke. And definitely more to come as we get close to the end of the year. Not to mention, you know, we still got plenty of good movies to come out. Doctor Strange, Rogue One, Jason Bourne, also coming out next week. But yeah. So I am Vern Gulper Bones. Live long and prosper. And I will see you in the next video. Adios.